Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday live stream. So we got a lot of things to go over, so let's just jump right into it. So today, the market's doing great. I think it's day two of a pretty good rally that we are experiencing. And the question is being asked, is Jerome Powell looking to resign from the apex as the Federal Reserve Chairman? And it looks like these are actual active discussions going on. Now, this is just reports coming out. There is nothing concrete and set in stone. Jerome Powell has not come out and said, I am resigning. But I have to tell you, if you have the current entire presidential administration and roughly half the country, and essentially almost all people that are in digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and most importantly, Bitcoin, wanting you to step down, very difficult for this guy to keep going. I'm surprised he's still around. And I will tell you, I think as time goes on, the pressure just comes and comes and comes. I believe he will step down. But before we get into that, I just want to remind everybody that tomorrow we're giving away TANGEM wallets, 3 as a matter of fact. And if you interact with this post that I linked in the description, all you have to do is give it a like, repost, and tell me why you need a TANGEM wallet. I'll be giving those away in tomorrow's live stream later in the day. I'll be joined by Gem Crypto, and we'll be giving those away via the posts on Twitter or X. So this is what we have today, and this is where all the hoopla is. And I think maybe this is part of the reason why things are going so well. Now, there's a ton of different reasons, of course, for this rally. Some people will say, well, it is a short squeeze. Some people take a look at the macro data. Some will take a look at, oh, the OTC, and there's a supply crunch and so on and so forth. There's a litany of different reasons why there's a nice, big, fat pump coming on throughout this market over the last 48 hours. But remember, this is all being done without the Fed cutting rates even once. And if this comes through, then I got to tell you, the floodgates really do open. This is from the U.S. Federal Housing statement from Chairman of the Board of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, Jay Pulte, or William, or Jay Pulte, on reports that Jerome Powell is considering resigning Washington, D.C. And he states, I got to tell you, it's an interesting thing that they did a press or a news release for a potential Jerome Powell. And he states, I'm encouraged by reports that Jerome Powell is considering resigning. I think this will be the right decision for America and the economy will boom. I must remind you that Pulte, who's the head of U.S. Federal Housing, is the same Pulte that asked for an investigation into Fed Chair Jerome Powell after the last congressional hearing, stating that he was misrepresenting all the different numbers that were coming about as far as the restructuring or the reevaluation of the Fed Chair building and what was going on behind the scenes. He was the one that wanted him to be investigated, and now he is the same person saying, hey, looks like this is going pretty well, that he's resigning or he's considering resigning. I personally think Pulte is probably talking to different people within the organization, within the current administration. And he's probably saying, you know what, if we want this guy out, let's just keep putting pressure on him from all different sides. And that's just one way to do it. Again, I don't think that Jerome Powell is going to last until he steps down in May. I've been wrong before. I am not perfect, except for my price predictions. The last 2 years have been pretty good. Besides that, I do think he'll step down. And if we take a look over here at Polymarket, this actually jumped up from 14% to 18% in the last 10, 20 minutes. So we'll see. And this one's different, though. It says, will Trump remove Jerome Powell in 2025? Now, we talked about this before. Trump himself can't specifically remove Jerome Powell, but there can be an investigation for cause, and that could be related to what Pulte was talking about as far as the misrepresentation for the restructuring of the Federal Reserve building and the potential misconstrued truths that were being said. So I'm not saying that he can't remove him. There could be an investigation and Congress can remove him. But as far as like this happening, I think he's just going to step down. And because of this, when you're going to get one of the more, I'm not going to say hawkish, but I would say the more consistent Fed chairs, which would be Jay Powell. I mean, you can take a look back and people talk about the mistakes he's done. But look, we're not in a depression. I feel like he's done, I think he's done a pretty reasonable job. Do I think he missed some opportunities? Sure. Who hasn't? And with just the rumors of him stepping down, then we get a little bit more of a pump. So Bitcoin today, I want to say we were over 118, almost 119,000. But over the last 7 days, the one that's been crushing it is Ethereum, 20%, XRP, 28%, Solana, 12, Dogecoin, oh my God, in the top, in the top 10, the one that pumped the hardest in the last 7 days was Dogecoin. Isn't that funny? That's good. And then also Cardano, just barely at number 11, roughly $500 million behind Lido staked Ether. So this is where we're at. So it's looking pretty good for Bitcoin and, of course, altcoins. So we've been talking about this the last couple of weeks or so. There's like a shift going on. And, of course, if Fed chair steps down, you can better believe that the person that is going to be put into that chair is going to be pretty much pro cut rates and cut rates fast. As a reminder, of course, the Fed chair is only one person. It is a governorship. There are other parts of the board. So it's not because just one person's out, but you can see how like the chair would kind of dictate the direction. Just take a look at Gary Gensler. Regardless, if this happens, there will be rate cuts, I'm pretty sure. And there's been a lot of rumblings in the background about altcoins now. And I've been accumulating a little bit here and there. But as a reminder, most of my portfolio, 75-80% is Bitcoin. But it's just odd. It just seems like everything's kind of coming together for Ethereum. And when it comes together for Ethereum, then other altcoins pump like we are just seeing. And I think it all kind of stems from, first of all, what happened with Robinhood and then picking Arbitrum, which is a layer 2 solution on Ethereum. But then also Tom Lee gets named chairman of Bitmine Immersion Tech. And he is, of course, going to be putting Ethereum on the balance sheet. We talked about this roughly a week ago. And then just other things that have come out. Hogan comes out and he talks about getting a basket of different digital assets. And he talks about how Ethereum's a good one. XRP, Solana, Chainlink. He didn't specifically say Cardano, but hey, put that in there. Why not? But I really do think as time goes on, especially if we get into what can be considered like a pretty reasonable altcoin rally. I don't consider this anything too fantastic. I think it's great to go up 20%, 30%, great. But how many of these are at their all-time highs besides Bitcoin? Answer, none. They hit their all-time highs and they went down. XRP, this isn't its all too. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, which ones of these have hit their all-time high? I can't just say none and not say anything. Let's see. Okay, so Bitcoin just hit one July. Okay, that's today. Ethereum, November 2021. XRP, 2018 was its all-time high. BNB was 2024. Solana, well, it hit in January 2025, but it's still 44% down from its all-time high. So wah, wah. Hey, don't say anything. I own a bunch of Solana. Doge, 2021. Tron, 2024. Did anything hit it? No. Well, Sui or Sui, 2025. No. Wrapped Bitcoin, that's the same thing. And it's a big fat no. So yeah, I'll be damned. So, everybody's excited about this. Don't get too excited. You're not even hitting all-time highs. That's great. But the question I have is for everybody is like, would this be the time to really start to get in there? Or do you think this is just a fake rally? I don't know. Let me know what you think about that in the comments section. But I will say Tom Lee is everywhere. And if you own Ethereum, I think he's going to pump your bags pretty hard. Here he is at NY Next. And I've seen him on a host of different shows where he's always on MSNBC. Tom Lee, of course, from Fundstrat, putting Ethereum onto the balance sheet for Bitmain. And, this guy is going to be everywhere. I think he's going to actually pump things on top of the fact that you've got Larry Fink coming out and saying that the tokenization of real world assets could grow 4,000x and go from there. And he actually said here, the role of Ethereum in the blockchain can grow dramatically. And if you're talking about tokenization, that's what Robinhood did. They did that with Ethereum, and that's why they're tokenizing stocks. You know who else did it? Solana did it. And they partnered up with a host of different companies, one of those being Kraken, and they tokenized stocks. just in on a different chain. So I keep seeing these same projects again and again. We hear about Bitcoin, we hear about Ethereum, we hear about XRP, and we talked about why, and we were hearing about Solana, and then this just happened, I want to say yesterday. Robinhood launches Ethereum and Solana staking service for US users with $1 minimum. I thought this was pretty good because I thought that Europe could already do it, and I guess it did. The new feature of staking expands Robinhood's staking offerings beyond Europe, allowing American customers to participate in blockchain validation without directly validating themselves. This isn't anything new. I mean, we do this on all the different exchanges, but I think what's interesting about this is that you've got Robinhood, which deals a lot with primarily equities and stocks. Those people are there, they're used to dividends, and like, well, why can't we do that? And now they can. All they got to do is just buy Ethereum or Solana. But again, two names keep coming up, Ethereum and Solana. It's very interesting. So we'll see how it all works out. And then lastly, my last point is this dominance. We missed out on NFA Live this week. Ben's traveling yet again. I think Guy was indisposed, and so we had two of the guys out, but no big deal. But as Ben's been out here and there, or have family around, he did put this out today. I thought it was interesting. I want to ask everybody's opinion. He states the last 2 summers, alt Bitcoin pairs found some brief relief, which I guess that'd be right now, before heading lower into Q4. The large bounce by alt Bitcoin pairs over the last few years did not occur until November. So here's my question for everybody. This rally that we're having here, we're seeing Bitcoin doing pretty well, but you know what's doing even better? Tons of alts, tons of them. Is this just a brief rally and you want to probably take some profits along the way? Maybe you're up 30% because you were on Dogecoin and you went up 30% in 24 hours, maybe. Or do you think, no, this is just the beginning of the big, huge rally that's going to November? I personally don't think you can really lose here. I mean, you can lose if you start to do leverage plays and stupid craziness like that. But if you think, okay, I look at it like this. Either we keep going up. That's interesting. Either we keep going up and we top out and say November, December, or something like that. Or we go up, we have this little mini rally. It melts down like it has usually done in summers past. Not every summer, but it's happened before. And then it melts down, and then it goes back up to November, December, January, somewhere around there. So I don't know which way it's going. I think you could play it both ways or take some profits and then go from there. But just curious to see how everybody thinks about that. But that's it for today. So, no, there's one more thing I forgot to mention, which is this. I know people are like asking me about like, well, when do I take our profits? I can't tell you when to take profits, but I can tell you this. If you use CoinLedger, which is the same tax software I used for 5 years, they have a free portfolio tracker. And this isn't my portfolio. This is just a dummy one they set up. But what's cool about this is when you open this up and get into it, it'll tell you like, look, you're down on Polygon like everybody else. So you probably don't want to take some profits here. Here's your unrealized returns on Solana, Bitcoin, Chainlink, blah, 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 and down the line. Very easy to set up. You don't have to put in your secret keys like someone said. That's not where it is. You put in your public address, which is the same address you use if you want to have somebody send you crypto. Public address. You just integrate with your exchange or your wallet. It spits it all out. So if you're looking for something free, and then also, hey, when taxes come up, there you go, you can do that. So check that out. That's it for today. So thanks so much. Let's go do a little Q&A, shall we? Hold on real quick. That's it. Okay. What are your questions for today? Taxes, boo. I don't blame you. Taxes do suck, but it is the inevitability. Oh. Well, let's see. Let's make this quick because I got to answer some calls. News on the Fed chair. Was there a news story? Yeah, Dragon, I guess you would have come here on time. That's okay. So this is what happened. The Fed chair, it looks like Jay Polte from the, where is he from? This would pop in. Let me see. From the U.S. Federal Housing. And he talks about, I'm encouraged by reports that Jerome Powell is considering resigning. I told you why I don't think that he's going to be sticking around. I think he's going to be resigning very soon. And why? Because he's got essentially the entire Trump administration against him and half the country against him. So yeah. I take it the Robin staking is not self-custody. No, David is not. But, that's not. So like those types of things are not for like us. Those are for like the normies who just want to pile in. And that's great. Let's see. When Bitcoin and stablecoins are, what will the, it's funny. Let's see. Will we even get an alt season? I mean, it's looking pretty good right now. Alt season, I mean, you put it by certain parameters where Bitcoin dominance goes below 60% and then you see things rise up exponentially across the board, then sure. I don't know if it's going to be across the board everything. I haven't been this risky, been very risky this cycle. I've been doing like some pretty basic altcoins, right? The Solanas, the Cardanos, the Ethereums, the Chainlinks, a little bit of XRP, the SUIs, the Hyperliquids, the ones that are, looks like they're going to do pretty well. So I haven't really gotten to like, number 283 crypto. So I don't know if the other ones will pump, but I just hedged my bet and said, well, these look okay. I may not get a 10,000x, but I'll be okay with a 2 or a 5x. Let's see. 2 worst things about investing in crypto: potential for theft, taxes. Potential for theft is pretty often. Hey, Rob, did you hear the story from CyberTux regarding the 80,000 Bitcoin in 2011? Hacked an old address or art project? If they hacked it, that'd be something. I just don't know how they would do that and then not hack everybody else's account. I self-custody my baseball cards. Rob, do you have a pet theory on why alts haven't moved like in bull runs? Because altcoins are really for retail. For them, I mean, like number 50 and below, let's be honest. So the other like blue chip altcoins like Ethereum and Chainlink and Solana, stuff like that, that's actually being gobbled up by some of the institutions. And, there's even an ETF for Solana, for a staking ETF. So when I take a look at why didn't they move, it's because retail is tired of this BS. They're tired of getting dumped on. They're tired of everything that goes along with altcoins and meme coins and the VCs that were being the puppet masters behind the scenes. And they're like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm going to get into the S&P 500. I'm going to get into NVIDIA stock because at least, no one's going to rug pull me on that. And AI is the future. Or I'm going to do something with just a savings account because people laugh at a savings account, but what's even funnier? Losing 99% of your portfolio because you heard about from some guy from somewhere that a meme coin is going to be the next greatest thing of all time. 4% doesn't look too bad, does it? Let's see. Yeah, not chasing 100 ranked coins. Me too. Is the resignation legit? Easy. There wasn't a resignation. That is a talk of a resignation. And I told you why I believe that he will resign, because he has so much pressure from the current administration. On top of that, half of the country wants him to step down, and he knows that he missed some opportunities to cut some rates. It's just weird how this is done. He's like, we're really data dependent. And he's like, these tariffs, and the tariffs haven't been inflationary. We've actually taken some funds in. So I don't know where that's coming from. Worst thing about crypto is the token migrations. Yeah, those suck. This is one of the things I was like, you buy something and then all of a sudden, like, hey, we're migrating to this chain or to this bridge or to whatever. And if you don't do it within so much months, then it's gone. And then you don't check on things because you've heard that this is like the next great thing, and then it's all gone. Jaded says, Robbie still invested in Masterworks. If so, it's done pretty well this cycle. It's roughly the exact same price it's been. It's been a waste. Put in 5 figures in that and nothing really happened. So I just let it sit there. Bummer. Because Bitcoin now is still high. I don't know if it's that high. Let's see. So, dominance. I mean, has it gone up? Huh. So dominance on the 5th of July was 64, almost 65. And now we're at 63.47. So I mean, it's going down, but I mean, it was much lower in May, 61%. Well, those are good times. But who knows? Who knows whether to keep going down or up? Not for sure. Rob, can you show social risk? That shows it, it's 0. Retail isn't here. I can show it. So this is one of the things that I'd like you guys to look at it. Social metrics. Oh, wow, it's not a 0. It's at 0.014. Excuse me. Wow, we're blowing it out. How great for that. Yeah. Check Google Trends for Bitcoin and Cardano. Definitely a trend happening in the last 9 days. Oh, interesting. Did not know that. Oh, nice. Cat, have a good vacation. Retail is back. Let's see. Yeah, I only like this. Dragon's Den says, they're waking up. I think a few people have asked me about crypto lately. Yeah, me too, which is odd. And we'll see where it goes. Anyhow, that's it for today, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by. I gotta get going. I'll see you guys on the next one. Adios.